Stop for a moment and think about the last time you felt that restless stirring inside, as if you were standing on the edge of something unknown yet deeply necessary to become. This very feeling taps into what Carl Jung described extensively in his work on psychological development, especially the concept of individuation, the lifelong dance toward becoming your truest self. In my research of Jung's theories and clinical observations, I have discovered that preparing for the next phase of psychological growth requires more than willpower or simple self-help tricks. It demands a profound engagement with both the conscious and the unconscious parts of your psyche, a process Jung considered absolutely essential. Through his practice and case studies, Jung observed people caught in transitional states where the old patterns no longer served them and the new potential was not yet fully formed. These in-between moments often bring confusion, anxiety, and sometimes despair. I've learned from Jung that these feelings are not setbacks, but crucial signals that the psyche is reorganizing itself. So pause here and really honor this internal upheaval as a sacred threshold, not a failure. One of the greatest challenges I found when studying Jung's work is that modern life pushes us to ignore our unconscious longings and inner symbols, instead favoring distraction and surface-level fixes. Jung's clinical cases reveal how neglect of inner growth accelerates psychological fragmentation, which often appears as depression, emptiness, or an overwhelming sense of meaninglessness. He taught something revolutionary for his time, that the key to mental health and development lies in engaging deeply with your inner world, particularly those parts of yourself you tend to reject or avoid. Take the story of one of Jung's patients who was tormented by recurring dreams of being lost in endless corridors. Rather than dismiss these dreams as meaningless, Jung helped her explore what those corridors symbolized, unexplored aspects of her identity and unresolved conflicts. This journey into the shadow, as Jung calls the unconscious side of personality, is foundational for preparing for the next psychological phase. It requires courage to look inward and wrestle with uncomfortable truths about yourself. But this process is transformative because it widens your self-understanding far beyond societal roles or external achievements. Another key insight from Jung is the importance of symbols and active imagination to access the unconscious. In my application of his methods, I have seen how people can dialogue with inner figures arising spontaneously in dreams or meditations and discover new directions for life. Jung believed that our psyche speaks to us through these symbols, offering guidance toward individuation, the process of becoming uniquely whole. Importantly, Jung's approach contrasts with purely rational or behavioral solutions. He emphasized that psychological growth involves embracing paradoxes within ourselves, integrating light and shadow, conscious intentions, and unconscious impulses into a harmonious self. Practically speaking, preparing for your next developmental stage means creating space for this inner work through regular self-reflection, dream journaling, or active imagination exercises. Allow yourself to ask yourself questions like, what part of me have I neglected or judged harshly? What recurring images or feelings persist despite my attempts to ignore them? Engaging with these questions cultivates self-awareness and loosens the grip of unconscious complexes that limit growth. Another technique Jung demonstrated is working with archetypes, universal patterns residing within the collective unconscious, reflected in myths, art, and personal stories. By identifying which archetypes are currently most alive or dormant within you, you gain important clues about the life tasks awaiting your attention. For example, a surge in warrior or hero archetype energy might signal a need to face external challenges more assertively, whereas awakening a wise old sage archetype might indicate readiness for deeper self-knowledge. Importantly, Jung always insisted that individuation is not a solitary journey, but integrates your social and relational context as well. He showed in his clinical work how the relationship between analyst and patient mirrors inner dialogue and supports safe exploration of vulnerable parts. This reminds me to encourage you to seek out trusted companions or therapists familiar with Jungian approaches who can hold space for your evolving self. So, as you face uncertainty about what lies ahead in your psychological development, remember Jung's core message. The psyche inherently strives for wholeness. Let yourself explore the shadows without fear, engage the symbols with curiosity, and cultivate patience with this intricate unfolding. The next phase is not a destination, but a process of lifelong discovery where you grow into a more authentic and integrated being. To truly prepare, make daily room for silence, self-questioning, and imagination, knowing these are the portals Jung emphasized for transformation. As we approach our closing, I want to share Jung's own succinct yet profound insight on psychological growth. Every human life contains a secret call to individuation, and answering this call is the highest fulfillment we can achieve. I promise you that embracing this journey deeply can bring more meaning, resilience, and inner freedom into your life than you might currently imagine. Before we end, consider the essential next question you should ask yourself as you continue this journey. What questions should I ask myself to keep evolving consciously and authentically? Tomorrow's video will dive into this vital inquiry, informed by Jung's authority. Because knowing what to ask internally is the compass that points toward your true self. If you found value in this exploration, please like, comment with your own experiences or questions, and subscribe to keep walking this fascinating path together. Remember, tomorrow's conversation will build directly on today's insights and unlock the practical questions that guide your ongoing psychological development. Stay curious and courageous until then, because your psyche is whispering the next chapter of your story.